I'm Totore, and welcome back to the channel. Today is a different kind of day. I'm not playing a game today because something exciting happened today. Well, something exciting for me, and hopefully if you're watching this, also exciting for you. Today we are going to be looking at, I talk about something that I'm about to show you. Zoop, zoop, and zoop. Ta-da! Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom, Age of Numa gameplay. This came out today, and when I saw it, I was like, oh my gosh, I need to talk about this, because as much as I've been trying not to get excited for this game, I'm kind of excited for this game, so, I just really wanted to talk about it. I wanted to nerd out so badly about this, and I'm just gonna do it. I'm gonna talk about it because it's so exciting. So let's put a pause on that. I was gonna be pretty abrupt. Oh well. Tears of the Kingdom. It's so exciting. Look at it. I'm gonna back it up a little bit because I started watching it. I was like, oh my gosh, I need to talk about this. This is like the third time I'm gonna be watching this. And it's so exciting. And I've been trying really hard not to get hyped for it because it is a sequel to Breath of the Wild, and Breath of the Wild was such a good game and so big. I was like, where are they going to take this? This is supposed to be DLC. Why are they making a whole game out of it? But AG has announced that they finished all of the development on it. So now we just have to wait for it to come out. And then they dropped this trailer, so I'm just gonna play it.
Let's begin.
And I'll let you know my thoughts on it, because
here we are in the land
look,
of Hyrule.
Look, it's so pretty.
Like the Legend of Zelda.
I mean,
Breath
it's
of the Wild, there's a
as pretty
vast
as Breath of the
world
Wild was.
Of course,
But
it's not just the same
Breath of the
world
Wild's a
as
pretty
is.
game,
It's
so
changed in
Tears of the
many
Kingdom
ways.
is gonna be pretty too.
If we talk about all of the changes today,
Oh my
we'll run out of time,
gosh.
so we hope you'll seek them out for yourself.
I don't know how
when the
much
game launches.
horse riding everyone else did in Breath of the Wild, but I
In
would
this
ride
game,
my
the
horse
vast world of
just
Hyrule,
to hear the music and just to
high into the
experience the
sky.
world on horseback, because there is
You'll
fast
notice
travel,
some
but
landmasses
it's so
floating
much more
out there.
fun doing it on a horse.
We call them Sky Islands.
But look, Sky! They're up in the sky!
You're probably wondering
He's
something.
gonna go up,
How do you
and
get to the Sky
you're gonna get to
Islands
see
when
it
they're so
happen.
high up?
Because if you haven't watched this trailer, by the way, guys, you should definitely go and watch it, because seeing the whole thing, I'm gonna skim through it, but one of the things I wanted to stop and point out is the stables, and it took me a second to realize where we were, but this is the Kakariko stable. This is in front of Dueling Peaks in Breath of the Wild, which made me think, how much more different is this ground level Breath of the Wild, like Hyrule area, going to be compared to Breath of the Wild? Because all the trailers so far have hyped this up to be like in the sky, and that's where you're going to be spending most of your time, or want to spend most of your time. But what have they done on the ground level to make this different? And so far, it looks like they have a couple different things going on. There's this thing here, looks like a platform of some sort. I noticed that the smoke is slightly different when you're approaching the stable as well.
How do you get to the
They've
Sky
done some
Islands
like
when they're
smoke
so
coming
high
out of the
up?
horse's mouth, which is interesting. I don't remember that being in
If we
the
take a
original
look-
Breath of the Wild.
Oh, something's falling from
And
the
then
sky.
you can see like these glowing
Do you see
rings,
it? I wonder
which
what
is
that
maybe
is.
another platform
Let's head
of some
over to it.
description. And then of course the obvious, these falling rocks,
We're almost at the spot where the object fell.
which he's going to use.
Okay, let's use one of Link's new abilities.
And he showed this
Focus
ability,
on the rock that
this
just
rewind ability.
started rising.
Oops. There, the rewind ability.
Look,
I'm like,
it's
oh, this is
rising.
cool.
This power is
It's
known
not
as
like what we
recall,
had in Breath
which
of the
rewinds
Wild.
an object's movement.
But
Since I just used recall
I'm
on the falling
wondering
rock,
how this
I
is
can now
gonna
rise into the sky.
apply the
We're a
recall,
lot
not
closer to
rewind. I wonder how many other different applications this particular ability is going to have, because one of the things about Breath of the Wild that was so cool was that you had all those different runes, but you could use them in many different ways. And some of the abilities that appear later in this trailer seem like they'd be better for that, but I'm not sure how this recall ability is really gonna work. It'll be interesting to see how it plays out in the game itself. But then he goes up into the sky here,
Sky Islands.
and he floats down.
Let's use the paraglider to reach one of them.
And I was just like, oh my gosh, it's so
There are
pretty!
a few other sky islands floating here too.
Oh, it's so pretty. Even when I go back into Breath of the Wild these days, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's
There
so
are lots of
pretty.
ways
And
to
the
reach
dragon!
sky
I saw the
islands,
dragon,
so
I was
we
like,
hope
oh
you'll
my
try a
gosh,
few
that's
different
right.
methods.
I wonder if you'll be able to see the dragons like all the time now that you're in the
Now we're
sky.
on a
Because in the
slightly
Breath of
bigger
the
sky
Wild,
island.
you see them, they appear and disappear, but you can always see them go up into the sky through like their cloud portals or whatever. So I wonder if they're going to be there all the time now, or if it's going to be like a cycle like Breath of the Wild was. But like, just look at how pretty all this like it's, you can see over there on the other island, it doesn't really look the same sort of yellowishness as this island, but this yellow island with the trees
Just like on the surface,
and the grass and the
there
ground,
are
everything.
several man-made structures.
Oh, so good, so pretty.
trees
I
are
love
also
fall.
here.
It's my favorite season, so this was like,
You
ah.
don't see many of those
But
yellow
then
trees on
that's
the
probably why
surface,
they
though.
showed it in the trailer. It's because they know it's pretty.
Let's walk around for a bit.
Also, Link's hair is very floppy. I'm not sure how I feel about it yet. I kind of like him with
branch
his
on the
little
ground.
ponytail thing.
When you find something like this, you should pick it up.
Yeah, he's gonna do
It might
this,
come in handy later.
and
Let's
then he.
continue.
Where is it?
Oh,
There it is.
Something's there.
Those things.
This
Constructs. They must be Sheikah technology, right? There was Sheikah technology in the form of the Guardians and everything, and the Sheikah Slate and all that in Breath of the Wild. Is this just the next level of that? Is this something else? They have the eye in the center, which is typically a Sheikah thing, but I don't know. It's all weird. I don't really know much about this story yet. If it's been shown in some of the trailers, I just missed it, the whole story aspect of this, but as far as I know, there isn't that much out there about, like, definitively what the story is. So correct me in the comments if I'm wrong. If you know stuff that I don't know, please tell me, because I would love to know more about this game at this point. But we are, what is it, a month and a half? Yeah, a month and a half away now from the release date, which is May 5th. Or, sorry, the May 12th. So, I don't know how much more is going to get released before then. But then he does this. He fights the
is a brand new
construct.
enemy called a
I'm not going to
construct.
go through that. They have the breakability of objects still in the game, obviously. A lot of people complained about it. I didn't necessarily mind it. I just learned to live with it. And it brings some interesting aspects to it as well. It's like, yeah, you might get attached to a weapon, but then, if it breaks, then you can just find one that's exactly like it, because they seem to be everywhere, particularly if you're in certain areas of the game. So I just got used to it, personally. And except for the Master Sword, obviously. Nothing beats the Master Sword.
Moving on.
Moving on.
We've now explored
It's
more of
funny
the
listening
sky
to him
island.
play the game too, because the translator's
expected.
translating,
Fighting with just a
but then
branch
listening
won't
to
get us very
Numa
far.
actually play the game, you can
Also,
tell he's
this
kind of
branch
having a
is
bit of
almost
fun with it.
So
I appreciate
here's
that.
another one of Link's new abilities. If we use this branch and the rock over here,
This is cool.
do this. Look, we can stick them together.
Yeah, the fusing
created-
ability. I saw them do this and I was like, interesting. Can you fuse everything together? Because I could see that being a lot of combinations. There are a lot of items in Breath of the Wild, so is it maybe it's just you're fusing like your bow and you'll see arrows and your weapons and your shields with stuff. Because I don't know how much you can fuse together. It'll be interesting to see how that works, but definitely a lot of crazy combinations I'm sure you can make.
Makeshift hammer.
I wonder if
This
you could
is
fuse
called
like
fuse. You
food
can stick
to it
objects
as well.
together to create
Probably.
new weapons with various effects.
Yeah, he fuses
We're
it
dealing with
his
Oh,
and that displays some of the fighting. But he fuses his shield. Oh, this was funny.
we can create a weapon
I actually
with a
laughed when
much
that
longer
happened.
attack
Look
range.
at how long that is. If the
With this, we
physics
don't have to
actually
get too
applied to
close to
this,
enemies,
that would
and
get
we can
caught
safely
on
attack
all
from
the
a
trees and
distance.
branches. Yeah. But
So
then he
try fusing this leaf
fuses
to an arrow.
He fuses the arrows together with stuff, and he like fuses it to make
Fuse an
ice arrows and
elemental
stuff.
Material to an arrow and
I don't see them getting
you
rid
can
of
freeze faraway enemies.
elemental arrows, because you could buy those in shops and things. So you must be able to still buy them. I don't know why they would take that out of the game. But then if you're short on money or short on elemental arrows, you can use Choo Choo Jelly, which is, I think that's a really cool thing. This seems like it'll allow for a lot of improvisation and creativity in terms of how you play the game, which is really cool considering they're working with a world that is already kind of established. You kind of have to go somewhere different with it. Very useful.
In addition, let's see.
And then he does this.
Ah, there's a bird flying around.
Yeah, this is
If you're
really
out
cool.
hunting, you might feel that aiming with an arrow is too difficult. Apparently, my eyes
I
can't
actually
track
find it a
fast-moving
little
objects as of
difficult
late, so
to
my
aim with
shots
things
rarely
too.
land.
I might end
So,
up
at times
using
like these,
this fusion he's
here's
about to
an
do
eyeball
quite
you
a
can
lot
get
when
by
I
defeating
play
monsters.
with the
Fuse
eyeball.
it to an arrow and
Kind of disturbing,
it
not gonna
honed in on a
lie.
target.
But man, homing arrows in a Zelda game, who knew, right?
I'll just fire in
Right. So
that
he
general
does that
direction.
again,
The fuse ability.
and then yeah, so he
Hunting.
fuses his shield with a mushroom.
I fused a mushroom to my shield. Now you can
That made me crack up. Look at it. It looks so ridiculous. But it'll have a use because that's the way they're going with this. Everything seems to have an effect and a use and a purpose. But man, mushroom on a shield. Yeah. Can you imagine fusing just random food items to things? Yeah. We'll see how that goes.
If this has any use.
I don't know how
this
much use
mushroom is
an
actually a
apple
puff
is
fruit.
going to have fused to a shield, but you
Let's
never
fight an
know,
enemy with
I
this.
suppose.
I
Oh yeah,
blocked with
smoke
the
screen.
shield. Okay, there's
It's one of my favorite things to do is sneak up on enemies, so this is definitely gonna be probably one of my go-to things.
smoke now.
But who knows?
Even
Right. I want to
in
get
this
to...
game, even the weakest
Okay.
weapon with something else.
He keeps
could turn it
fusing
into a
things with
useful
weapons,
weapon.
which...
There are even more gameplay options.
Yeah, aside from like fusing with weapons, I'm not in shields and stuff. I don't know how much the fusing aspect of it is going to get used, but that's just one thing. The thing that I'm really intrigued by is what he does with this. This
So
is
we'll lift
really
this
cool.
log and attach it to a second log. Let's do one more.
He's
We'll
fusing
bring
things
this
together
over here
and building
attach
them
a third log.
like Legos.
It's a makeshift raft. This
How
is
cool
another
is
new
that?
ability called Ultra Hand.
Ultra
Even though
Hand!
the logs are currently attached.
I've seen people saying online that the name Ultra Hand is a reference to something Nintendo made back in the day. I think I might have been too young for that when that came out, but that's a cool Easter egg if that's true. But like, look at the way you can build things together.
You can
That's
always
so
attach them or
cool.
detach them like this. Water.
And then he
would
does
create a
this.
simplified state. So
Yeah,
there's something here. Wind. It's
with
blowing wind.
these fans with battery
Looks like we
life,
found a fan.
apparently.
Why don't we try
The
attaching it?
mixing of technology and nature and old school things in this game is going to be interesting as well. Very cool aesthetic. But he fuses these things together and he makes a fan boat.
Okay, they're attached.
That's so cool.
All right, let's try.
And this
moving
is
the boat.
this is just a basic version of a boat.
Hey,
You could
it's
probably
moving.
make all
It's
kinds of
sailing
stuff.
pretty
I don't know
fast
if there's
with
going to
the
be a
fans.
limit to how many things you can fuse together.
Since we added 2 fans,
I imagine
we should be able to cross the river in no
You
time.
might be limited by the
Alright,
console
we reached the
itself.
other
Like
side.
maybe the rendering won't be able to handle too many things at once.
In the most recent trailer,
But you can
we
make stuff
showed
like
scenes
that,
of Link riding
and
a
that.
large car and a flying machine.
How cool
Those
is
vehicles
this?
Actually aren't in the game from the start.
People are going to have
Instead,
so
you'll
much
be
fun
able
with
to
this.
freely
Like this
craft them on
fan
your
boat
own.
thing, this is such a cool idea. And people were making stuff like this in Breath of the Wild just with what they had, you know, like the magnesis and stasis and, you know, those other runes as well. And bombs. They were using bombs very creatively as well. To be honest, I probably wasn't as creative a player of Breath of the Wild as I could have been. I tended to play my games very like laid back, so I didn't feel a need to do all those crazy tricks like some people did. But man, this looks really, really cool. I'm really excited to see what people make with these things, because there's going to be so many videos coming out of people like making these mental like cars and flying like planes probably of some description, and these of course boats like this. But the hot air balloon thing too, that was really cool. I'm just saying there's a lot of possibilities here for this game, and it feels like they took what people were doing with the creativity in Breath of the Wild and they've made it so that people can channel that into making even cooler things, which is amazing. I love that they've done this, and that's kind of, I don't know, ignited my excitement again for this game. Like, I know I've been, like I mentioned before, I've been trying not to get too hyped because I don't want to be disappointed. And maybe I am still slightly apprehensive to how, like, the story part of it's gonna pan out, because that was my biggest issue with Breath of the Wild, was that the story felt like it was left behind a little bit. But I'm really cool to see where they take this so far. Now, there's not a whole lot
All sorts of you can do
of gameplay left.
Take this
Oh,
building
wait,
over
yes
here.
there is. There's this one
Okay,
other
watch this.
ability that they have now. Also Link's, like, fun
Pass right through the
power
ceiling.
arm thing.
This new ability is called
Don't know what
Ascend.
that's about, but I'm
If you're in a
here
place with
for
a
it.
ceiling, you can go through to the floor above you.
That's pretty cool. Teleportation?
There are
Could be game breaking though.
some
Like,
restrictions, but what's great
one of
about
the
this ability
things
is that as long as there's
he
this
does
place has
is
a
he
cave
goes
in it,
into a
like-
cave and uses this. And he even says it himself later on in the video,
keep going.
is if you can do this, it saves you a ton of time climbing some mountains. Now, not all mountains have caves in them, so this isn't going to work for every mountain. But that would save so much time. I could also see this being, like, I'm sure they've thought about this to a certain extent. It would be weird if they hadn't, about this potentially, like, breaking certain puzzles. Like, maybe that's the point. Like, if they have a puzzle that you could solve by using this, maybe going through something. Or you could do it the hard way, be more creative about it. I don't know. I don't know what their thought process is. The only thing I think that stops this from being truly, like, OP is the fact that they didn't show us going through things horizontally. It's only vertical, and they do call it Ascend, which means you probably can only go up. Kind of like a more beefed up version of Rivali's Gale, now that I think about it. It even had the same color of Rivali's Gale, like that greenish color. So, yeah, I don't think you're going to be able to go forward, and you probably can't go back down. Unless there's, like, an upgraded version of the sigil or whatever it is that they're using for this. But yeah, I'm intrigued. There's a lot
In the
of
previous game, you had to use
different
stamina
ways to
climb a
travel in
mountain.
this game
But
now
in this
than there
game,
were before.
If there's a mountain with a cave like this one,
Let me skip
imagine
through this
you're stuck in
again.
a cave. Oh, there's another construct.
Oh yeah, the
It seems
construct
to be holding a
with the
strange
fan.
weapon.
The fact that they can
Some
have fused
enemies
weapons
are
too is
equipped
good
with
though,
fused weapons, so
because
battles will play out
why
a bit
wouldn't
differently
they?
from the
That's a
previous
good one
games.
to have.
Ah, it blew me away with wind.
Yeah, I could see that being the bane of my existence for a bit. And then he falls off and jumps in, which leads
I got pushed
to a
off.
moment where I'm a little like,
Oh, well, let's just return
okay,
to the
video
surface.
game logic, I get it. But
You can
like,
quickly descend from the sky.
look at the top of the screen where the sigil is. I don't know what this is. I mean, it's obviously some sort of maze, maybe? From this distance, it's hard to tell if it's like walls up on the ground. I don't think so. I think it's just a picture. I don't think it's a proper like walled village or anything like that. But is this an indicator of more divine beasts? Maybe. It looks pretty huge. So maybe it's a summoning point for a divine beast of some description. But then would they bring back something like the divine beasts again? Because like the divine beasts were fun as like their own little dungeon areas, but I wouldn't say they were like the thing that kept me coming back to the game. So I'm hoping it's maybe something with a different twist on the Divine Beast idea, but yeah, one of the things I've always said about Breath of the Wild was that I wish they had had a little more of like those larger scale dungeons. Like they had the shrines, which were little puzzles on their own, unless you got one that was like a fight with a guardian, but that's beside the point. Those had their purposes too. But the only like big dungeon areas you had were like the Divine Beasts. And I guess to a certain extent Hyrule Castle, but even Hyrule Castle wasn't necessarily like a puzzle. Like there weren't necessarily puzzles inside it. So I'm hoping maybe they bring something that's a little bit more like a larger dungeon. Because one of the things is I've been playing Skyward Sword again. And I've enjoyed doing dungeons again. I'll just let him fall there.
Be able to look out across the land.
And I wish Breath of the Wild had some sort of other big dungeon area like that. Would have been really fun to do. So maybe they'll bring something like that back into here for this part of the game, but we'll see. And then he dives into the river. I'm losing my words here. I'm so excited, but he dives into the river from that height, and you know, of course if you land in water in a video game, it negates all your fall damage because that's how that works. But this is video game physics, so we're just going to let that slide. But like, look at the Bokoblin. Is that a Bokoblin? Hold on. Is that a Bokoblin? It looks like a Bokoblin. He has bigger horns or something, but he's being carried by a flying creature. Okay.
What did you think?
I thought it was great.
Link's new abilities were updated from the previous
So
game.
yeah, that was.
I'm sure some of you.
That is basically it for the trailer, which is fine. I don't know if they'll show us more later on in the month. I don't know why they would. Maybe they will. Maybe like an extended gameplay trailer. It's been so long since Breath of the Wild came out that I can't remember what their release pattern was like for that. I can't remember if they had other gameplay trailers or not. I think that personally I feel like there's enough that they've released so far between the other trailers and the gameplay trailer that people are already hyped about it, and especially because hold on, I'll skip to the end. They've also released this, ta-da, May 5th, May 12th. I keep seeing that 5 and thinking 5th, but it's not. It's May 12th, 2023. And then they show this new OLED Switch with Tears of the Kingdom stuff on it, and it's, if I didn't already have a Switch, I'd be really tempted to get it. I'm not usually one to get hyped about like that kind of stuff. I'll be like, oh yeah, that's cool, and you know, move on with my life. But it is Zelda, and I have a soft spot for Zelda things, so. But no, I have a Switch. I don't need another one. I'll just have to stare at it from afar and long for what could be. But that's the music. Oh, the music just gets me. I love what they've done with the music for Breath of the Wild. I know you couldn't hear it as much in Breath of the Wild. Probably might not in Tears of the Kingdom either if it follows the same pattern. But I love the music that comes out of the Zelda games. Uh-oh. It's playing! No! Be quiet! Sorry. But I love the music that comes out of Zelda games, and I've always loved the music that comes out of Zelda games because it just strikes something inside me that is just, emotion. Especially playing Skyward Sword again, I've been like tearing up a little bit whenever I hear certain songs, and it just makes me flash back and relive all those memories of playing it before and playing Zelda games in the past, and just the music of the Zelda franchise is some of my favorite video game music. And yeah, so anyway, Tears of the Kingdom, that's the gameplay trailer. Those are my thoughts on it. Yeah, I don't really have a lot else, I don't really have much else to say about it because there really isn't much else to see yet. We'll see if they release anything else. But yeah, I'm excited. I hope you, other people are excited as well. I'm assuming if you hear that you are excited. But we should all be excited about this, in my opinion. Because it's Zelda, and Zelda's exciting. But I'm a little biased because I just love Zelda that much. But anyway, thank you for sitting through this and watching with me. If you're still here, you must love listening to the sound of my voice if that's true. So thank you very much. Appreciate you. So anyway, if you did like it, please leave a like down below, hit the thumbs up. And if you want to see more, I'm currently playing through Skyward Sword HD on the Switch, and I'm almost at the end of that. I have maybe a few more episodes left for that. It's mostly recorded, but I just haven't released the videos for it yet, so stay tuned for those. And if you do want to see those, go to my channel and subscribe maybe if you want to see more. But other than that, thanks again, and have a wonderful rest of your week. Goodbye.